In a world where the brightest lights can cast the darkest shadows, two lives are about to collide, not with the elegance of fate, but with the force of consequence. One, a boy whose brilliance once made him untouchable; the other, a girl whose quiet strength hid a heart unbroken until the world tested her. Tonight, we journey into their struggle, their despair, and their redemption, a story of love born from mistakes, courage rising from hardship, and hope breaking through even the harshest storm. This is When Tides Turn. Brian had always moved through life as if the world had been built for him, each step a measured assertion of superiority. Teachers, friends, strangers alike bowed in subtle deference to his brilliance, his athleticism, his charm. He was the boy who could do no wrong, the captain of the basketball team, the golden child of high school corridors and family living rooms alike. But beneath the applause, beneath the medals and the praise, there was a hollowness, a quiet loneliness that even he did not fully understand. Every victory felt fleeting, every compliment hollow, because there was no one to anchor him, no one to guide him when pride and recklessness collided. Nadia's brilliance, in contrast, was silent. She moved like a shadow through classrooms, her eyes always on her books, her mind sharp and untouchable. Her intelligence was a sanctuary, a fortress built to keep disappointment and grief at bay. After her mother's death, her father had grown harsher, his love wrapped tightly in rules and reprimands, and she had learned that the only place she could breathe freely was within pages of stories, equations, and distant worlds. She was admired, yes, but rarely understood. Her friends laughed at her seriousness, mocked her discipline, and on one fateful night, pressured her toward a party that would shift her world irreversibly. The party had been a blur of lights and music and temptation. Her friends had drugged her drink, hoping to humiliate her. Brian had arrived that night in his own spiral, escaping the scolding of his parents, the weight of their expectations pressing down on him, his own rebellion seeking solace in alcohol. Memory fractured. The night dissolved into a fog, and when the dust of confusion settled, their lives had already begun to change. Nadia felt it first. Her grades slipped, her body ached with exhaustion, and sleep became both a refuge and a trap. The doctor's words, when they came, fell like stones into a still pond, 3 weeks pregnant. 3 weeks since that night. Her father's anger was immediate and devastating, casting her out as if she were a stranger to him, a disappointment beyond redemption. She had been a good daughter, disciplined, dutiful, and yet in the wake of misfortune, she was abandoned. And so she went to Brian, to the boy she had seen in flashes of memory at that party, the boy whose reckless brilliance had once commanded admiration. She found him at his father's house, tall and proud as ever, and yet, when he saw her standing there, the weight of truth on her shoulders, something shifted. His instinct was to deny, to push her away, but seeing her fragility, the helpless sadness, he could not. For the first time, he did not think of himself. I think the child is mine, she whispered, her voice trembling. Brian's own fear surged. He wanted to retreat, to deny, to escape as he always had. But instead, he faced the impossible. We have to tell my parents, he said, voice breaking. But when he spoke, when he bared his own guilt, his parents recoiled. They had always tolerated his recklessness, but now they could not bear it. They disowned him, casting him out into the world he had never truly known. And so began their exile, their van life. A cramped space filled with the smell of leather and faint remnants of gasoline, where nights were cold, and the small victories of surviving one more day were as precious as gold. At first, they were strangers, bound together by circumstance, forced into a relationship neither wanted. Words were weapons, silence was armor. Meals were rationed, every coin accounted for, every day a battle. Days blurred. Brian worked small jobs, delivering packages, helping construction crews, sweeping streets, anything that brought in enough coins to buy bread and milk. Nadia worked as a tutor, grading papers, helping children after school, her exhaustion deepening, her body heavy with pregnancy. They barely spoke at first, sharing the van not in conversation, but in cohabitation, two strangers navigating the sharp edges of forced proximity. Then, the first fracture of connection. One night, Nadia did not move from the corner where she had been curled up, and Brian noticed her tears. He asked. At first, she shook her head, refusing to burden him with her pain. But he pressed, gentle yet insistent. I haven't eaten in 2 days, she admitted finally, voice trembling. Brian felt a pang in his chest. The boy who had once been proud, who had always placed himself first, silently broke his own ration dinner and offered it to her. She ate, surprised, touched, her eyes widening in disbelief. A bridge had formed, fragile and trembling, but a bridge nonetheless. They began to talk. Hesitant at first, small sentences exchanged like cautious dancers circling a room. Brian told her of the emptiness behind his pride, the loneliness of having no one to call him out, the weight of being admired yet unseen. Nadia shared stories of her mother, the strictness of her father, and the solace she had always found in books. Conversations stretched, long into the night, punctuated by exhaustion, hunger, and occasional laughter. And then, love began. Not the sudden, blazing love of fairy tales, but a quiet, patient love that crept through their shared toil. Brian took extra shifts, ensuring Nadia could rest, that she had proper meals for the baby. Nadia, in turn, became his moral compass, reminding him to slow down, to care, to breathe. Their lives intertwined in small intimate moments, Brian bandaging a blister after Nadia's long tutoring day, Nadia rubbing his sore back after carrying packages for hours, both noticing the weight in each other's eyes, the silent signals of endurance and care. Weeks stretched into months. The van, once a prison, became a home, a place of learning, of growth, of shared suffering. They argued, yes, tempers flaring in the claustrophobic space, but they also laughed, cried, and planned. They learned each other's rhythms, when Nadia needed quiet, when Brian needed reassurance. Slowly, the walls between them crumbled, leaving trust, respect, and the first flickers of desire for connection. Pregnancy advanced. Nadia's exhaustion increased, Brian's workdays lengthened. Nights were sleepless, days relentless. Each task was magnified, paying bills, cooking simple meals, navigating the city's harsh streets. Yet, through every hardship, they grew. Brian learned humility, Nadia learned to lean on another. When the time came, chaos ruled. Nadia went into labor in the small van, the streets unfamiliar, the city indifferent. Brian drove desperately to the nearest hospital, shouting through panic, fear clutching at his chest. She gave birth to a girl, small and perfect, whose cries pierced the tension, whose presence brought a light to the dark corners of their lives. Nadia's recovery was slow, Brian's exhaustion near collapse. Yet, through it all, they persevered, held together by love, by the promise of family, by the life they had chosen to fight for. Brian collapsed once, utterly, on the streets, fatigue overtaking him. Strangers gathered, helping him upright. And then, by a stroke of fate, his old high school coach appeared. Recognizing the boy he had once trained, he took him to the hospital. Seeing Nadia and the child, he understood the journey, the sacrifice, the transformation. He offered them a home, stability, and work, a second chance. Brian became the coach's assistant, his courage earning him respect rather than mockery. Nadia thrived in the new stability, the baby growing strong and healthy. The old friends, the betrayers, faced consequences. And slowly, both sets of parents returned, seeking forgiveness. Hesitant at first, Brian and Nadia eventually embraced reconciliation, the pain of the past softened by time and understanding. In their new home, with the baby cooing between them, Brian and Nadia sat together, hearts entwined, hands clasped. Their journey had begun in despair, in blame, in fear. But it had ended in light, in love, in family, in hope. Brian had learned the weight of humility, Nadia had discovered the power of trust. Together, they had weathered every storm. A year later, Brian knelt before Nadia in the warm glow of their modest home. He offered a ring, a promise, a future. She smiled, tears mingling with laughter, and said yes. The tides had turned, irrevocably, beautifully. The storms they had endured now served only as a backdrop to their love, their triumph, their redemption. As the sun dipped beyond the horizon, painting the sky in amber and gold, Brian, Nadia, and their daughter sat together, a family forged by struggle, tempered by hardship, and bound forever by the tides that had turned. Life does not wait for forgiveness, and love does not always arrive on time. But even in the aftermath of mistakes, even in the shadow of despair, the human heart finds its way. Brian and Nadia learned that the tides of life may push us into the deepest waters, but they also carry us to shores we never imagined. And as their story fades into the quiet of a new dawn, remember, even when the world turns against us, even when we stumble, love, courage, and hope are the currents that guide us home. If this story moved you, let it ripple beyond these walls. Like, share, and subscribe, and join us for more journeys that touch the heart. This was When Tides Turn.